The next time you eat at a restaurant, take a closer look at your bill. If you see a 10% service charge added automatically, you may not have to pay it. Hi, I'm Nupur and you are watching Control Z, your cheat code to navigating adulthood. The government has stepped up its crackdown on restaurants that continue to levy mandatory service charges, with Consumer Affairs Minister Pralhad Joshi warning that establishments flouting the rules will face penalties and reputational consequences. The latest action comes after the Central Consumer Protection Authority or CCPA initiated action against 41 restaurants across the country following complaints from customers. According to the regulator, these restaurants were automatically adding service charges to bills without obtaining customers' consent or giving them the option to refuse the charge. For consumers, the message is simple. A service charge is not mandatory. If that surprises you, you're not alone. For years, restaurants across India routinely added a service charge to customers' bills. Because it appeared on the bill alongside the food amount and GST, many diners assumed it was compulsory. But legally, that has never been the government's position. A service charge is different from GST. GST is a tax imposed by the law. A service charge is a fee that a restaurant may request, but it cannot force customers to pay it. The dispute has been going on for several years. In July 2022, the CCPA issued guidelines that restaurants cannot automatically add service charges to food bills. The regulator argued that this amounted to an unfair trade practice under the Consumer Protection Act. Its reasoning was this: consumers are legally required to pay only the price of the food, applicable taxes, and any charges specifically authorized by the law. A service charge does not fall into that category. Restaurant associations challenged those guidelines in the Delhi High Court. They argued that the service charge formed an important part of their business model and that customers were informed about the practice before placing their orders. But in March 2025, the Delhi High Court upheld the CCPA's guidelines. The court ruled that restaurants cannot impose service charges as a default levy. That judgment largely settled the legal debate and gave regulators the backing to enforce the rules more aggressively. And that is exactly what is happening now. The CCPA has expanded enforcement after receiving complaints through the National Consumer Helpline. Some restaurants have already been directed to refund customers, stop automatically adding service charges, and even modify their billing software. The latest action against 41 restaurants signals that the regulator is now moving beyond issuing guidelines and actively enforcing them. One important point though, the government's action is not against tipping. If you receive good service, you are free to leave a tip. You can even choose to pay a service charge voluntarily if you want to. What restaurants cannot do is automatically add the charge to your bill, present it as compulsory, and refuse service if you decline to pay it or collect the same amount under a different name. The government has also clarified that GST cannot be charged on a mandatory service charge. So what should you do if you notice a service charge on your bill? First, ask the restaurant to remove it if you don't want to pay. If the restaurant refuses, you can file a complaint through the National Consumer Helpline. In fact, it is complaints from the consumers that actually triggered the CCPA's latest enforcement drive. The bigger takeaway is this: for years, many customers paid service charges simply because they believed they had no choice. The government now wants to make it clear that they do. The latest crackdown isn't introducing a new rule, it's enforcing an existing one. And for restaurants that continue to impose mandatory service charges, the risk of regulatory action is now much higher than before.